And if you... Thanks for everything, guys. The line is gonna...
Shout out thanks to Cameron McGinnis, who made everything fit in the Hall of Shadows this year. That was an unbelievable task. A huge shout out to all the haunters in there. We asked the impossible of them, and this year they delivered the impossible. Special thanks to Manuel Menjivar. He is the guy that records all the intros for us. Thank you, Menji. Happy 18th birthday to our boy, Elijah. And thank all of you. What an amazing weekend. We don't exist without you. Thank you so much. We'll be back, but for now, we're just about ready to land this plane. Are you ready to go to Universal Church? I need Orlando to hear you. Are you ready for Universal? I need Ireland to hear you. Are you ready for Universal? Thank you, Midsummer Scream.
Welcome to Midsummer Scream. Two of the most famous haunt events in the world take place on opposite sides of the U.S., but are bound by 3 letters. HHN. While both events share multiple IPs from year to year, they are both unique in their own right, earning them undying coast-to-coast love and admiration from their fans. And just as unique as each event is, so are the visionary creatives behind their production. One of them has come from the heart of Central Florida, and the other has crossed the ocean from his home in Ireland to be with you here this afternoon. Please, welcome to the stage, Universal's own Titans of Terror, creative director and executive producer of Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood, John Murdy, and Senior Director of Entertainment and Creative Development at Universal Orlando Resort, Michael Aiello. Midsummer Scream, welcome John Murdy and Michael Aiello.
That's his name. What's your name? How you guys doing? Let's get this thing going. Halloween Horror Nights 2025. Let's hear ya! West Coast and East Coast. How many of you guys, show of hands, how many of you guys are gonna make the trip to both coasts this year? Why not? All right. I'm John Murdy. I'm creative director, executive producer of Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Hollywood.
I am Mike Aiello, senior director of creative development for Universal Orlando Resort.
Oh, you know what? Before we do anything, just go with me. Okay?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. To get to do this for all of you guys every year for the last 20 years, you know, that's just something I couldn't have imagined when I was a kid. So thank you so much for all your support over the years, supporting Horror Nights on both coasts.
100%. And thank you. I'm so excited to be here on the West Coast with you all. I loved walking the floor, seeing all the sights here. This is an amazing convention, absolutely amazing. I think last time I was here was 2019?
Yeah, it's been a few.
Yeah. So I am thrilled to be with you all today, and thank you for welcoming me.
Okay.
What's this mean? What is this?
Oh, this is how this goes. Yeah. You know how this goes, right? Yeah. By the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes. Yeah. Damn. You got anything?
Nope.
We solicited questions on X for our fans to ask Mike and I, but before we get to that, we're going to answer a lot of your questions today. We got some surprises in store for you, but we thought it might be cool to let you guys be the first people to see the HHN 2025 commercial spot. Would you guys like to check that out? Okay, let me see if I can do this correctly.
Universal Halloween Horror Nights.
You guys liking the lineup for 2025? I think this is our best lineup since 2016, honestly. And we can't wait for you guys to experience it in for you, sooner, right?
Very soon, very soon.
What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be
this is all wrong.
working?
I shouldn't be here at all.
When do you guys open, seriously, Mike?
The 29th is officially the opening night in Orlando.
And September 4th for us. So, we're going to start this off. We wanted to answer some of the fans' questions that they put on X. So it's Q&A time. Let's start. Oh wait, this appears to be an Orlando person, Mike. So I'm going to have you read this one.
Yes. Okay. How long is your process for selecting which IP franchises you two, your collective teams, choose for the event? What goes into the process? Well, it's how much time do we have? Honestly, like the IP franchise process isn't just John and I. It is a massive team of people. We work with not only our insights team to kind of study what people are enjoying out there in horror pop culture. We look to our marketing teams to help inform us of what's out there and available. We have an amazing team that, along with John and I, approaching certain studios and individuals to seek out if they're interested in working with us. We also have IPs that come to us.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
So we actually start that process in March. So March of this year, Mike and I and a bunch of us would sit down in a room and start thinking about, okay, what do we want to do for HHN 2026? And we'll be doing a whole lot of that this week.
That's also why I'm here.
Don't follow us. All right, next question. How much do fans have impact on making creative choices for Halloween Horror Nights every year? Like Cal Tallboy?
Yeah!
Right. And I would answer that question with Exhibit A. Seriously, ever since the first Terrifier film came out, we've been keeping an eye on this franchise. And I don't know for you, Mike, but for me, I judge it by the t-shirts that people wear to events like Midsummer Scream, but also, of course, Halloween Horror Nights. And I noticed after the first Terrifier came out, I was like, oh, cool, what's that? I was checking out people wearing Art the Clown t-shirts. And then when the second movie came out, there's a lot more of you. And then last Halloween, I was like, oh yeah, this is the time. And the same thing's true of Five Nights at Freddy's. For years, our fans have been asking for this franchise. So honestly, this is for you guys. I mean, we sat down this year and we went, number one, Terrifier, check. Let's go talk to Damian Leone and Phil Falcone. Number two, Five Nights at Freddy, check. You know, we really curated the slate.
If you're going to see those characters, they have to look identical to how you see them in the film and in the franchise. So the only group we could have worked with was the Jim Henson Creature Shop. They created everything.
Yeah, you know, do you guys remember a couple of years ago we did Blumhouse Behind the Screams?
Yeah.
That prop display? That was the moment that, for me, was the light bulb moment, was walking in there when we had those creatures on display and going, first of all going, damn, that's like 8 foot tall. And then going, oh, if we ever do this, we gotta have Jim Henson's Creature Shop do it. So we've been working with them for like over a year, right, Mike? We've been on this for a long time. And last week in Hollywood, they started loading in, coming into the house. So we can't wait for you guys to check out Five Nights at Freddy's. All right, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Do you struggle to bridge the gap between pleasing old school classical horror fans and younger game-friendly fans when choosing this year's HHN houses? And that's from Blue Fire Dr. 44.
I just have one question at this juncture. Was Blue Flyer Dr. 43 taken?
Are they here? Well, then we'll never know.
Okay. Exhibit B. Yeah, that's something we intentionally, when we're building the slate, we're looking at that specific thing. We always want to have properties that appeal to the hardcore horror fan that loves slasher movies. That's why Jason Universe is a perfect fit for us. But we've started getting into video games. Way back in the day, Silent Hill in Hollywood. You guys did Resident Evil, right?
Resident Evil, yes.
And then a couple years ago, we joined forces on The Last of Us.
Sure did.
And so this year, we wanted to bring Fallout to life. Are you guys excited about that? I was just in there last week with the creators of the show. And it's still, like, we're just getting into props and dressing. That's going to start rolling through this week. But just to step into the vault, Are you guys excited to step into the vault? It's amazing. Scenically, it's some of the craziest stuff we've ever had to do, but it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, well, and it checks all the boxes that we need for what we feel will be a great haunted house. It has diversity environments. You've got the fallout shelters. You've got the wasteland. Diversity in characters. We just installed the T60s into the house just this week. And I said T60s.
Ours are in the mail. Ours are coming. We're waiting.
But again, it checks all of those boxes. And honestly, like being able to work with Amazon for the first time, we've never really partnered with them before. So we've got a new company that we can collaborate with, which is really exciting.
All right, next question. Has any of Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights icons ever been to Universal Studio Hollywood's Halloween Horror Nights? And this is from Sergio Torres, AR7. Time for a short history lesson.
Take out your notepads, everyone. Here we go.
It's a tradition. We might as well get into this. Yeah, the answer is yes. Way back, the first year I did Horror Nights in Hollywood, 2006, we featured the director. Anybody here that saw that event in 2006? Oh wow. Okay, I'll tell you a quick little funny story. So we wanted to film some stuff with the director, kind of like viral, it was before viral videos really in 2006. We wanted to shoot something from the tram POV, so I put a camera crew on the tram, and I got a good friend of mine who was the lead singer in a band at the time called the Graveyard Farmers, and I said, hey, just, over by kind of like the Bates Motel, this kind of wilderness area, the back lot, I'm like, hey, just when the tram goes by, just come walking out of the woods, dragging a body. But I didn't tell anyone I was doing. Don't recommend that. And we also featured Jack the Clown. He was the icon in 2007.
Bit of trivia, by the way,
okay.
on the director. His name changed when he came to Hollywood.
It did.
It did. He was Paulo in Orlando, and he was Pavel, in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then he was Billy in Singapore, I think.
Yeah.
So he's apparently an anonymous individual who just goes around the world changing his names. He's got.
Well, if you did what he did, you'd
right.
have to change your name.
Good point.
You know, you wouldn't want the authorities after you.
Right.
Oh, okay. Will Hollywood Harry get more lore and one day meet Orlando's icon, Jack the Clown? And this is from Egyptian Horror 9.
No one heard that. He said, "Bring chance."
Now, it's time for a slightly longer history lesson. More lore. How much lore do you want? All of it. Okay, well, let's really quickly go through the lore for Hollywood Harry, okay?
I'm interested.
Okay, well, this is how he came to be. He started at Universal hosting a kids' TV show called Koodle's Carnival. His real name is Harold Kapowitz, and that was in 1958. As, you know, this is the proof right here. And then in 1964, he got asked, you know, that was the year we started the studio tour, and that was kind of the beginning of Universal Studios Hollywood as a theme park. And he became the mascot for the Universal City Studios tour. And there you can see him out there on Lancashire in front of the Universal sign, and there he is on the tram. And then in 1973, the studio canceled his television show.
I love that they actually got a photo of him reacting to that.
Yeah. And they replaced him with two different icons. They replaced him with Frankenstein Jr. in 1973 and a gorilla holding a camera.
Fair trade.
I didn't make this up. This is real. This is really like, I was a little kid. I first came to Universal in 1972 with my family, you know, and Frankenstein Jr. was the icon of Universal Studios Hollywood and a gorilla holding a camera.
I see new icon.
Think of the possibilities. And so he just kind of hung around the front main gate of the park, kind of like those people that hang out in front of Groma's Chinese Theater, you know, trying to charge people for autographs. And this went on through the 70s and into the early 90s. But then he started getting all sketchy. And eventually security asked him to leave the property in 1993. But he didn't leave. He just went up into the hills that surround the Universal backlot, and he's been living there ever since. In 1998, people started noticing him on the studio tour and started taking pictures of him just wandering around the backlot next to the Psycho House. And, you know, at that time, the internet started coming alive, and they started filming all these videos of Harry sightings, and they gave him this name. They gave him the name Hollywood Harry, and he was born in 2016. He hasn't been back for a while. Should he come back? Yeah! Should Jack the Clown come back? Yeah! I'll file that away. All right, Mike, you take this question.
All right, how did you and me format the storyline for the Wyatt Six Haunted House attractions to build Orlando and Hollywood to be all in Bray Wyatt's mind in terms of his split personality disorder and characters of the Fiend? And was there any creative input from the, in real life, Wyatt Six faction? From @Skywalker Brian? Yes. So I am so excited that we're doing this year. And I know when it was first released, there was a division. It was like, huh? Like, there were a lot of people who were like, what? Wrestling? Are you kidding? And I'm saying, no, I'm not kidding. At all. What was that?
She wants me to body slam you.
Oh! You're ruining the end of the panel. He's gonna throw me through 6 tables. No, this relationship really started. I actually knew Bray Windham. We exchanged messages. He went to Horror Nights in Orlando all the time, and we exchanged a lot of messages. Talked a couple times, and we talked about the possibility of something like this someday. And you know, he had portrayed all these amazing characters. And horror and WWE have been part of their makeup for decades. In fact, Horror Nights in Hollywood.
Yeah, before my time, we featured The Undertaker in a haunted house.
So we had talked about this, and then unfortunately for those that are aware, Wyndham, he passed away. And it never, obviously didn't happen. And then about a year ago, June, his brother, Taylor, Bo Dallas, also Uncle Howdy, debuted a brand new faction that was inspired by Bray's characters and his storylines. And they kind of rejuvenated the Wyatt name in WWE programming. And they're a horror faction. They're every bit the kind of Rob Zombie textures that you would find in any horror film.
And if I remember correctly, after that debut, you sent me an email.
Yes.
And you're like, check this out.
Yes, yeah, because that night, one of my good friends, Marty Miller, he's the vice president of live TV for WWE, I literally called him after they made their debut. And they did this amazing single camera push into where the wrestlers come out on TV. And they had basically done this massacre backstage. And it looked like one of our haunted houses. And I called literally that night and said, we need to talk. And we got the ball rolling. And that's when I emailed you.
Yeah. And then Mike brought it to the table. It's kind of the way we work together. Like, sometimes I'll have a hookup or a connection with a filmmaker, and I'll go, hey, what do you think of this? And in this case, Mike was super connected to WWE. So he brought it to us. And for me, I as a kid in the early 1970s, my dad used to take me to the Olympic Auditorium in downtown LA. You know what I'm talking about? I think it's a church now. But that's where wrestling was held. And this was back in the days when, it wasn't what it is today. It was like Freddie Blassie, John Tolis, Man Mountain Mike, Mil Mascaras, Haystack Calhoun. It was that era of wrestling. And my dad would, I think this is right next to Skid Row, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I don't know why my father took us there, but that was my earliest exposure to wrestling. But I needed to learn a lot. So I literally watched YouTube videos, which I often do, pretty much the entire history of Bray Wyatt's arc in WWE from the Wyatt family all the way through, and then with the Wyatt Six, like watched every single wrestling match, every single promo. And by the time I was done, I had such an appreciation for the genius of Bray Wyatt. And it just felt like this is something we need to do. This guy was so talented. I think if Bray was still with us today, I think he would have ended up making movies, honestly.
100%.
I think that's where he would have taken it. But what he created is so layered, and the story, it goes to so many levels deep. Even when you get into the costumes, which we obviously have gotten into in great detail, every stitch means something. It's incredible, the universe that he, spawned and what his brother's carrying on today. So we're incredibly honored to be doing this. And I always like to think of when we're, building a slate for Horror Nights, there's the things that are kind of obvious, that are kind of what I would call the meat and potatoes of horror. But then there's these other things, I call them brand expanders. And you've seen us take these chances over the years where we go, okay, let's take this and bring it into the world of Halloween Horror Nights and turn it into a live experience for you. Are you guys psyched to see this? So, and I think we always try to align on kind of like the main beats, what the story is we're trying to tell. But we sometimes have different scenes and different approaches into our houses. Honestly, I think that's super cool. I've always thought that's cool. I love that people can go to Orlando and see one house and then come to Hollywood and maybe see something slightly different. I think it's cool to have those differences park to park. So for Hollywood, for me, this is the facade, by the way. All you people who've been trying to film this. It's not easy. I feel for you. I do. You guys are riding the studio tour and you're trying to get that picture, and all you could see was the roof. and people were like, it's Creature of the Black Lagoon. It's and I'm like tweeting them back. No, it's Gilligan's Island. But for me, I wanted to think about it like if I was going to make a horror movie out of the Wyatt Six, how would I go about that? And I thought about the Wyatt compound, which was featured kind of more prominently in the Wyatt family days. And I thought, like, I want that to be the entrance into our experience. And in a lot of ways, this is like an original haunted house. And it was so cool when we met with Rob Fee from WWE, when you and I and our team, we did this big brainstorming session with him. What I loved that Rob kept saying is like, you guys are the experts. You guys are the experts. He really welcomed our own creativity into the process. So we tried to approach it as if we were making a horror movie out of the Wyatt Six characters. The beginning is going to be the Wyatt compound. It's kind of the bookends of our experience. But I'll point out just two things. You see that side profile shot elevation? You see the rocking chair. Yeah. And you see the lantern. And of course, that's Bray. That's Bray's iconic elements. The lantern is a through line through the whole house. You're going to be kind of following the light of the lantern as you go from scene to scene to scene. So I'm giving you this warning now, right? So you're ready for it. Because it's not always in the same place. But try to find the lantern in every scene you go in, because pretty much almost every scene, the lantern shows up. And the other thing is the rocking chair. When you come out, it's going to be rocking by itself with the lantern on it. The fireflies, we're going to do all that special effects lighting, so the fireflies are dancing around. And as you go through, you're going to keep encountering that rocking chair. And I don't want to say too much about this one, honestly, because I like the fact that I think it's going to be a big surprise for all of you, okay? And then I'm going to let Mike talk about his.
Yeah, I'll be brief. We're recreating the Wyatt Six debut in Orlando. That is our opening. You're going to be the camera, and you're going to walk that space. You're going to see the massacre at Gorilla Station, and then we're taking you through. Ramon Paradoa, also a massive WWE fan, was our show director for this experience. We've created what we're calling Production Central corridor, where you're going to be surrounded with WWE imagery all around you, media. And then the Wyatts take that over, almost like if it's a vortex leading you into the minds of the Wyatt Six. And then from there, I'll stop, because I want you all to experience it.
I do. I know a lot of times as fans, you guys are like, you need to know everything, and I always think about, like, were you the kids at Christmas that just, like, found where your parents hid all the presents, and you opened them all up, saw what you're going to get, and then wrapped them back up again? I did that one Christmas. I found my parents where they hid the presents, and I was so bummed that Christmas when it came to Christmas morning. So I think something should be a surprise, so you'll be surprised.
Yeah, but that is an interior shot of the house. That is not WWE, that's us.
It looks cool.
Woo!
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, there's this too.
And again, Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, Taylor, he has been so gracious with us and so supportive. He actually, we wrote and created brand new content for the house. And Uncle Howdy has new content specifically for this experience that we shot.
Woo!
Yeah, and we're going to feature that in the queue line when you're waiting in the queue line for us as well. All right. How do you write a house treatment? Is there any technique that you use while writing all houses? And this is from HHN House Hunter. It's cute. This is from our original house. This is from Monstros 3. I always try to explain it to you guys. I'm just going to throw up 2 pages just to give you an idea. Part of it is a technical breakdown, scene by scene. So on the one side you see talent, hand props, scenic, graphics, props and decor, static figures, audio, video, lighting, special effects, etc. And what I'm trying to capture is...
And for Orlando, the content's the same. Sorry, I redacted a ton of stuff on this page. Sorry.
Oh, I had a joke, but I can't say. Go ahead.
This is actually for the foyer of our El Artista Spanish Haunting House, and it gave away a lot of stuff, so I didn't want to give it away. But the format's there. We break down every single discipline so that when everybody's seeing these treatments, they can understand exactly what's going on in that space. And then over there on the other side, that is also what we include in our treatments, which is a model of every single room where we can place all the performers, we can identify where effects are. So again, anyone that's reading that treatment, whether they went through the meeting where we took everyone through it, or if they're just handed that treatment and they did not get the support of the meeting, they can read that and understand every single inch of the space that we're designing.
With the increased collaboration, has having your teams work closely together changed any part of how y'all approach house scare zone treatment? And this is from Hopping Hogsmeade.
The y'all probably is from the East Coast, I bet. This is probably on the East Coast.
I have a slight suspicion of that. Yeah, we've always worked together. Whenever we share an IP, we work very closely together. We're in meetings every Monday without fail. We're East Coast, West Coast meetings. But this year, I think we took that collaboration to a new level, and that's particular to Five Nights at Freddy's. Sometimes we have houses where it's a little different, East Coast to West Coast. This house is pretty darn close to the same experience coast to coast.
About 99.9%.
Yeah, and it's really just the physical spaces that make it different. But we kind of divided and conquered on this house. We would literally divvy up the various disciplines, whether it was design, scenic, audio, video, etc. And we said, okay, you guys got this, we got that. And it's the first time we've ever done this, but we really collaborated in a much more intense way across the board on that particular house.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think we learned a lot about each other's process,
Yeah.
even more than we had just kind of working in meetings together. Our teams working closely on design, which really hadn't happened before.
Yeah.
And it was an awesome process. We learned so much about each other's teams, and I think it really brought everybody really close together too.
Yeah, it's we can't wait for you guys to see this house. This is something that we've, honestly, like 5 years ago, if you would have said the same thing, hey, why don't you have done Five Nights at Freddy's before? I probably would have said it's impossible. But it was really that moment of being in the lobby when we did Blumhouse Behind the Screams and going, of course, Henson, that's how we have to do it. That made this possible. All right. Can you share a moment that you had with the fans where you both knew you had created something special through your work on Halloween Horror Nights? From Movie Howler.
Honestly, this may be cliche, but it's every year. I mean, here's the reality. John and I are up here talking to you all, but we represent a massive team of people that are working together to bring this thing to life every year and to make it different every single year in as many ways as possible. The moments that we've had with fans is really the thank yous to the team. Again, we're walking the event. Sometimes we'll walk in the event after it opens, and we'll be together. We'll be a group of our team, kind of assessing the event, and people just coming up to us and saying thanks. We realize how much this event means to you, because it means just as much to us. Because that's the other reality is, like, I was a character. Most of our team grew up in the event. And we're now helping to create the event. And that means so much to us, to be able to do that, to bring you something that you can escape to every single year. Because I think that's really what this event is about, is we all want to escape to some place that is that warm blanket. And for many of us, all of us in this room at this convention, horror is that warm blanket.
Yeah, I think this is the thing that constantly amazes us, is that, the horror community, I think it's the coolest fan community there is, And it's not just like that it's cool, but it's the most supportive, it's the most inclusive, it's just, like all of us collectively, we found our place, And so when we think of our event as creating that place for you guys, that once a year you get this time of year where you get to be with all your friends and all the people, that you love in this community and get to experience it together. Just one thing I'll say about this particular question, like over 10 years ago, I had and this happens to me all the time, I had like a dad walk up to me and he's like, hey, my son's really into like your event. He's kind of obsessed with it. And I thought it was like a fad and it would pass, but he wants to do this when he grows up. I don't know what to tell him. Can you give him some advice? And I did, and I've stayed in touch with that family all these years. And this year, that same kid, who was a little kid who came to Horror Nights, just finished his first internship for us, working on Horror Nights. So it's kind of amazing to see all of that come full circle. So, and there's so many stories like that. All right. For both of you, your time at Horror Nights has given you a front row view to the crazy growth and popularity of Halloween and horror-focused events. Creatively, where do you see the industry and Horror Nights specifically going in the future? From a lonely omen space. No?
Sure, why not?
Space station is just sitting there. I mean, it should have a haunt on it, don't you think? I don't know, where do you see this going?
I think it's actually happening already. I mean, we just soft opened Horror Unleashed in Vegas. If you just asked any one of us 10 years ago if there would be a 365 home for horror with Universal's name on it, I would have said no way. And there it is in Vegas, and that's really cool. That's really cool. And it's a whole different experience. It's a whole different thing than what Horror Nights is. And that was important about that Vegas experience. Is it gives you a taste, it gives you a flavor, but we also want it to be unique, just like we want our Horror Nights events to be unique. That's very important for that application.
And, on the East Coast, Epic, now has an entire Universal Monsters Land. I don't know. I think that Horror Nights had something to do with that. I really do.
I would think so.
I think that what we've collectively, all our teams on both coasts created, you're starting to see it now come to life outside the event. And I think that's amazing and really, really cool. All right. Who is your favorite cryptid? Megatron G13. Time for a short natural science lesson. A cryptid is an animal such as a Sasquatch or a Loch Ness monster that has been claimed to exist but never proven to exist, and that's from the Webster's Dictionary. I grew up in the 70s, so mine is, Sasquatch because of the $6 Million Man. And, we tore down the ice tunnel years ago to build the Fast and the Furious attraction, but he's still out there.
And ours are Yetis. We love Yetis in Orlando. We love them. We've done 2 haunted houses based on Yetis. We love them. I've never been scared more in my life than in our Yeti houses because they're crazy. Those characters are nuts in there. I love them.
All right. What makes Terrifier a perfect candidate for this year's Horror Nights at Horror Nights and Horror Nights Orlando from Just Warren 26608? We could answer that question for you. Or we could ask the guys who made the movies. All right. Let's bring to the stage Damian Leone, the writer, director, producer of Terrifier, and the producer Phil Balconi.
What's up, everybody? We love you back. Wow. So what was that? What makes Terrifier a good candidate for HHN?
Yes. Why do you think Terrifier is a good candidate for HHN?
Art the Clown? He's a fun, sick, sadistic, twisted son of a bitch. I think it's, even for me, this is sort of the first time I'm like in your shoes and I get to go in this house and be chased and taunted by my own character, that's really exciting actually, because on set, we don't have that relationship.
It's a different fear.
It'd be funny if we gave him real weapons for when you come through.
What better way to go out, right?
How about you, Phil? Why do you think Terrifier belongs at Horror Nights?
I don't know, I've never been to Halloween Horror Nights, but I'm excited to be at both of them. I'm going to be in California and in Orlando, check them both out. As Damien has mentioned, we are on the other side of the camera, so we don't get to see it this time. We're going to live it, and I already told them I want to experience it, and I've never done a horror house.
He said,
Oh boy.
he said, I hope I don't shit my pants in there.
We'll hook you up, Phil. All right, well, what we're going to do now, since we have the guys who made the Terrifier movies, is we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into Terrifier. Is that all right with you guys? Wait a minute, hold on. All right, do we have Terrifier fans in the audience? That's what makes Terrifier a great franchise for Halloween Horror Nights. All right, let's start with the concept. You know, the first thing we did is we all kind of got together and we talked. And, you know, Mike and I, we both gravitated towards this, which is the Funhouse from Terrifier 2. And I just learned this not that long ago, but would you explain this, guys?
Yeah, it doesn't exist. Yeah, so in Terrifier 2 you see this, and we did not have the money to build an actual scale facade. So I'm a fan of like really old school techniques that they don't really use anymore, so I wanted to use sort of a miniature forced perspective approach to doing this. So we really just built like a 3x2 foot facade, and then we used some digital effects to map it into, you know, like with a background plate. And it worked pretty cool. And I wish I could really get my hands on the actual facade now that they built. This is the first time I'm ever seeing one in reality, which is so friggin' cool. Very surreal.
It would be funny if we did that. You could be like Spinal Tap with Stonehenge, you know, you guys show up and you're like, what? Oh, really? So, here's the facade, by the way. For all of you, and I know you've seen this because you've retweeted it, but like, people ride the studio tour at our park all the time just so they can try to get a picture of this facade. So, you know, when we were talking, Mike and I, we really gravitated towards, let's have the Funhouse be not only the facade for the experience, but let's try to like take all of the great kills from the franchise and bring them to the Funhouse, even if it didn't take place in the movie that way. And that was kind of like I think, Mike, is it fair to say that was like our first big idea for how we were going to attack this?
Absolutely. It was really, could we place the guests in an environment completely of art's creation, and then house those kills within it? And what would that be like? That was the mission.
It was kind of like Art was showing off his works of, pun intended, art, for the guests, is kind of another way to look at adding all the scrub grass and the, you know, the dried plants and all of that stuff. But that's the Terrifier facade. And just to highlight a couple of things. When you're waiting out front, it's going to be the Terrifier theme music, and then you're going to hear like a radio, and I'm talking about Hollywood, you're going to hear the radio station kind of changing channels, static, hear a little blip of, you know, the Clown Cafe theme song, and then it's going to land on a news report, and it's going to say, police are on the lookout for a tall, thin man wearing a black and white clown costume and carrying a large garbage bag. And while this news report is going on, there's two doors. The clown head door is the door you're going to be going through. But Art is going to appear standing behind that door. And then he's going to open the gate. And then he's going to come out. And I gave him another gate in the fence so he can get real up close and personal with all of you. And Mike?
Ditto. No, here's a scenic elevation of the facade in Orlando. We made one minor alteration to really sell that Art has taken it over. We painted over the clown that looks a lot like Jack the Clown and made it Art instead. So you can really, when you go into the house, you really get a sense that this is Art's world. He's now taken this fun house completely over. And then I think the next slide is the facade. There it is. That's it. One cool additive in the doorway that you're not going through, there on the right-hand side, that's a media wall that's going to give you a glimpse of several of the Terrifier characters. You're going to see Vicky, you're going to see a little pale girl in there. So yeah, you're going to see all those characters inside.
Did you guys ever go through like carny fun houses when you were kids? Like growing up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did they freak you out?
Not too bad. I kind of like that stuff. Gravitated to it, creepy shit.
I grew up in Coney Island, and they.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I love Coney Island.
And they had the freak show in there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's when that was a popular thing, and we used to see it. You know, you'd be walking down the street, and you'd see the people with the, you know, the weird looks on them. You had some crazy shit going on in my
Did you ever work there for a summer when you?
I never worked there. A lot of my friends did. That's how we actually got the carnival for Terrifier 2. Funny story, the guy who owns Adventureland, it used to be Nellie Bly, he used to handle the ponies. For 15 cents, you'd ride a pony in Coney Island.
Yeah.
And he owns the park today. And he let us, well, he rented it to us, but rented it to us at a very nice price. So, and I had called up a friend of mine, Joe Piano, who I hadn't seen in like 40 years. I said, anybody still working on it? Anybody still have connections there? He said, yeah, we got them. And that's how we got it.
Well, that's cool. You actually filmed the interiors in an old.
Not the interiors. We shot the exterior carnivals in Nellie Bly, and then we shot the interiors in Fright Factory.
It's a haunted house.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. And he's a great guy too, Frank.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the characters. Let's start with this guy. And, you know, I'm sure, Damien, you've probably told this story a million times, but if you wouldn't mind, like, what was the inspiration for Art the Clown initially when you first came up with him?
Yeah, just making a short film, and I wanted to put a bunch of horror, sort of, you know, classic cliche characters in this short film that I could use as a calling card, and I wanted to see if I could do anything interesting with them and put my own spin, and I wanted to try and do something different with a killer clown. And when I was designing him, I said, he can't be anything like Tim Curry's Pennywise. So I didn't want him to be colorful, I didn't want him to speak, I wanted him to have weapons instead, and I sort of wanted to turn him into a slasher. You know, and it was really just based around this one scene, which is the scene in the short film The Night Circle, which was then put into All Hallows Eve, just with Art terrorizing this woman in a train station. It was supposed to be a bus, and that's actually why that scene exists at the end of Terrifier 3. And then...
It's a fabulous scene, I might add.
Did you have something to do with that scene?
I might have had a little bit.
Tom the bus driver, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you like the old horror movies?
I do like
Yeah.
horror movies, and I do like rom-coms.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so it was a little scene in this short film, and then it gets, you know, there's creatures and demons after that, and Art's only in the first 4 minutes, but everybody who saw it back then said, what is going on with that clown? Like, he's too cool, he looks so creepy, you're gonna make more stuff with him, right? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make plenty of things, for sure. And I was like, all right, I better write something else with this character. So then I made another short film called Terrifier, which is also in All Hallows Eve. And that's when I said, all right, I'm gonna really turn him into a slasher now and see, you know, what this guy's really about. And then that's when I sort of realized that there was something special. I didn't imagine it would turn into this, but I said, this character has something, there's a charisma there, there's something special, and I need to keep going, I need to get this character into a feature somehow. So that 20-minute short film, Terrifier, was sort of the proof of concept, a calling card. And it took years to try and convince somebody to give me money to turn that into Terrifier the feature, until I met this guy right here, the only person to believe in me to give me the money to do it.
Give it up for Phil. Producers need love, you know?
But you both have done something that many have tried over the last few decades that have not been able to do, which is create the next generation of slasher icons. And Art is a slasher icon now. That's fantastic.
You gotta give it up for this man. I mean, that's a creation, and like I said many times, even though he hates to hear it, I'm not from the horror world. But when I saw this clown, I was like, first of all, when he first mentioned the clown, I don't do clown movies. I shit. When you see it, I was like, wow, this is pretty fucking wild. And when we were done shooting Terrifier 1, I was impressed. I gotta be honest, I was impressed because I had just done a movie and it cost me a couple of $100,000, and we did this one for $40,000, and there's so much more shit in there, and I'm like, holy crap. I said, I pissed away a lot of money on my film.
Well, truthfully, I mean, if
The house was more expensive, just so you know.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, it was.
I mean, if this works, the truth is it's because it's all coming from a very genuine, organic place from a diehard horror fan, and I've been one since I'm literally 3 years old, and I've been watching these movies and idolizing characters like Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, literally since I'm 3. So hopefully there's just something instinctual after I'm consumed so much of that, I mean, this is really what I birthed out. I mean, so that's a big part of it. And then obviously David, who has just brings such an incredible performance.
I have a question for the producer. How did you guys find David? Was it like, did he just come to an audition, or was it?
Well, we were looking for a new a new Art. Now we're looking for a new Dave. No, we were looking for a new Art, and the person we had that we did the teaser with, he couldn't deal with the lenses.
Yeah, most people don't know that. Before we hired Dave, we had another actor. We shot a teaser for it, and this was after Mike Gianelli, because Mike Gianelli was the original Art the Clown in the short films and All Hallows Eve, but then he just didn't want to act anymore, so I had to replace him. And there was someone else that I'd been working with, and I was like, I think this guy could do a good job playing Art. And we filmed this teaser, but he has these like really bright, striking blue eyes, and I said, that doesn't work with this character. You need to wear these black lenses, and we put the lenses in for the teaser, but they irritated his eyes so much, and he was like, I don't really want to keep go on playing this character wearing these lenses. I was like, okay, so we got to start again. And I said, let's hold an audition. We put it online, and then we rented an office in Manhattan, and we had people come in. And David, I've said this many times, David was like the 6th person to come into the room, and as soon as I saw him physically, I was like, this is the guy. I'm like, please let this guy not just, be a raving lunatic or something. I'm like, yeah, I'll take, he doesn't have to do anything. He just looks so perfect, and especially I was looking for somebody thinner now, because the way I sculpted Art's face, he's sculpted to look kind of like a zombie. So I was like, he's gonna be great. And then Dave didn't have any size or anything. He just knew he was coming in for a killer clown role. And he said, well, what do I do? And I said, I don't have any lines. I said, no lines. I said, I just need to see you decapitate somebody, and you're having a very fun time doing it, and you do it very gleefully. And then you can see his audition online. He's like, okay. And then he just flips the switch, and he goes into almost like what you see as Art the Clown right now. It's almost identical. Yeah, and fantastic. I knew right then that it was gonna surpass like what I was even looking for. And it was just Phil and I in the room, and then he left, and I turned to Phil and I said, are we really looking for anything else? I was like, that's the guy. So let's bring him back, put the makeup on him, and have him do this all over again. And we basically shut down the audition right there, and that was it. Yeah.
Wow. So let's talk about Art. So we always do character illustrations. They're done by our in-house artist Lucas Colshaw. He's been doing these illustrations